And so if you want to talk about somebody...
That doesn't mean it is. Well, you said he feels that way. That's ridiculous. It is.
I think the ridiculous notion is for either one of you all to have the audacity to believe that you understand what the experience is to be.
I have to object to that.
But you just said
I cannot talk about it because I am not part of a group. I am a sentient human being. You're right. There's two ways you cannot understand something. One is to be too far from it. We're too far from it. We can't see like you can. One is to be too close to something. And then sometimes you can't see it accurately either.
Ben Shapiro went on Bill Maher, and as you guys know recently, I think Bill Maher is starting to see the pendulum swing in the other direction. He's starting to see the money flow in the other direction. So instead of promoting all this wokeness, he's now sometimes, every once in a while, going in the other direction and destroying wokeness. They brought on this senator, I always forget the guy's name, but they have this senator, the black guy is the senator, here with Ben Shapiro on Real Time with Bill Maher. Ben Shapiro starts going in and hammering this guy with facts and, you know, disputing all of the things that he's saying and using facts to do it. And Bill Maher, instead of defending the woke senator, he actually starts hammering him as well. He actually starts destroying all of his woke talking points as well. It's a great watch. Let's get into this clip here from Real Time with Bill Maher of Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher teaming up on this woke senator.
And most times
has it gotten worse since 1960?
Yes, actually.
Systemic racism has gotten worse since Jim Crow.
Yes. So you want me to give you a stat? Black home ownership today is less than it was pre-Fair Housing Act of 1968. But let me also talk about the fact that
being the welfare state.
Let me also tell you this. A lot of times when we talk about racism, we only talk about the fact when somebody calls you nigger. But very rarely do we.
Whoa, man, come on. Now I have to. I'm probably just gonna leave it in. Whatever.
Talk about the systems of injustice and oppression we have in this country. Where I'm from, Denmark, South Carolina, you don't have clean water, right? I live in a food desert, or grew up in a food desert, where you can't go a mile or two and have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. The schools are falling apart. The infrastructure is eroding.
But Kari, is your life as a black man better or worse than it would have been if you had been born in 1920 in the United States?
Well, all you have to do is ask my father, who literally was shot in the Orangeburg Massacre, right? Who helped found SNCC, who marched with Marion Barry and Stokely Carmichael and Martin Luther King, and the list goes on and on and on. And he will tell you today that he feels like this country's at 1954. And so if you want to talk about somebody...
That doesn't mean it is. Well, you said he feels that way. That's ridiculous. It is.
I think the ridiculous notion is for either one of you all to have the audacity to believe that you understand what the experience is to be.
I have to object to that.
But you just said
I cannot talk about it because I am not part of a group. I am a sentient human being. You're right. There's two ways you cannot understand something. One is to be too far from it. We're too far from it. We can't see like you can. One is to be too close to something. And then sometimes you can't see it accurately either. I'm not too close to something.
You know what I would like to ask people like this? What would you like for us to do if all of the things that we have done since, you know, the 1950s, 1960s, whatever, that this guy is complaining about, that America today is worse off, the racism is worse off in America today than it was back then. What would you like for us to do in order to make it better? Because we've basically done everything that we possibly can outside of just, like, you know, blatant discrimination and just, you know, putting white people in slave camps or something. Like, that's the only other thing that we can do. I guess, like, straight up reparations is what they would like, but they're still not going to be happy. People like this. When I say they, I mean people like this guy, not people of that skin color, okay? Because I know people are going to try to say, oh, what do you mean by they? It's like, no, idiots like this, regardless of skin color, this guy's an absolute idiot. And I would like to know what he would like for us to do. What would you like to be done? What would make you happy? I don't think anything could possibly make him happy, because I think this whole thing is just a grift in order to get him elected and make him money. I don't think people like this, like Tariq Nasheed, all these race baiters out there, none of them actually care about any of the stuff that they talk about. They just care about the money that goes into their pocket as a result. You know, we have Dr. Umar, who always says black people need to marry other black people and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure he has a white wife. They're all just race baiting grifters. They don't actually care about any of this stuff.
I am that.
I know.
And so, but what I am saying though is for you to discount my father's experience and say
that, I'm not discounting it,
and to say it was silly.
I'm not.
No, he was shot.
Were
you shot?
No, but he's still alive. Like, he's right here. Like,
right, but the idea that if I were to say to you as a Jew that the experience of Jews in the United States today is worse than the experience of Jews in Europe in 1939,
Here this guy goes with this shit, man. He always got to bring it. He always has to bring it up. Always.
would not be stating accurately.
Correct.
It's not true.
That's
and it's
right.
also not true to say that the experience of black people in America in 2024 is worse on a general level than the experience of black men in 1954 in Alabama. That's just crazy.
But I mean, I also think that that's decently intellectually dishonest. And that's my problem with it. I think that's genuinely intellectually dishonest, because when we go through the litany of not just imagine. So, for example, one of my major political issues is African American female mortality, right? If you want to talk about structural racism, did you know?
Oh, these are really big words. One of the worst parts about talking to people like this is no matter what opinion you have, if you're not black, then your opinion is irrelevant to them. They're just going to say, well, you're not black, so you can't understand the plight of black people. It's like, okay, conversation over. What else can I say then? I can't have an opinion on something because I'm not black. That's really dumb. And also, if you are black, they'll just say, oh, you're an Uncle Tom or something like that. You know, you're just trying to pander to the whites. You can't win. They have their opinion, and if they're challenged on it, they just call you an istophobe or ad hominem attacks, or they say you're not black, so you can't have an opinion. They don't ever actually, refute your facts that you give them. They don't ever refute your arguments. They just say, you ain't black, therefore you can't have an opinion on this. It's dumb.
I'm sure you do, but black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth than white women.
That's also true in Europe, by the way.
But we're talking about the United States of America.
I know, but the problem is you have to have a control.
But we do have a control.
Well, no, your
and
statistical control.
And so tell me why that is.
Okay, the answer is because black people in the United States have a lower household income, median household income, which means they typically go to hospitals.
I would call bullshit because it actually crosses across socioeconomic lines. So you can be my wife, who almost died during childbirth. You can be Serena Williams, who almost died during childbirth.
So what's your answer?
Because actually,
white doctors are racist?
No, but there actually is implicit bias in our healthcare delivery system, and there have been medical studies that show that people respond to the pain of black women differently than they respond to the pain of white women.
Yeah, I believe that.
Literally is a fact. And so I am trying to help.
So this guy thinks that doctors are giving people with certain skin colors preferential treatment to the point where they're near death experiences. Oh my God. Maybe it's just crazy. These people's brain goes straight to this. It's like more black women are close to dying during childbirth than any other race. Oh, it must be racism. It couldn't have anything to do with more black women being overweight than any other race, or eating more unhealthy food during their pregnancies, or anything like that. It couldn't be anything to do with their own accountability. It has to do with racism only. And I'm not saying all black people say this stuff, because I know for a fact they don't. I have black friends, you know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding. But I do have, my roommates in college were 3 black guys. I'm around black people a lot, and I know that most of them are cool, normal ass human beings. This is not representative of most black people. These are the race baiting grifters only that think like this, and people who have been brainwashed by these woke race baiting grifters. And a lot of the people who are not making money off this, who also spread the same nonsense, the same propaganda, because they've been brainwashed by these race baiting grifters, are not black people. A lot of times they are white people, so it's it's a bad representation of that group of people, of black people. Most of them are just not this insufferable. They're just not.
Both of you are
insufferable. I don't know if I just said unsufferable or not, but yeah, they're not this insufferable.
Understand that sometimes there are systems in place that just treat people differently.
So that, for example, would have nothing to do with the rates of, say, pregnant obesity by various communities. There are many, many confounds when it comes to these particular issues. And unless you remove the statistical confounds, you end up with trying to blame vague, shadowy figures like implicit bias, which are innately, insanely difficult, if not impossible, to measure.
I don't know what he just said.
I'm sorry, you should.
It's funny because he tried to use his big words to confuse Ben Shapiro, and then Ben Shapiro comes back with big words, and he's just like, I don't know what this guy said. And also, he's probably just using humor to deflect, the fact that he is completely wrong on this subject. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Bill Maher and Ben Shapiro absolutely destroying this woke race baiting grifter on Real Time with Bill Maher. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with the senator, or do you agree with Bill Maher and Ben Shapiro? Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole situation.